The movie opens on a young woman pushing herself through a brutal training course in the woods. She climbs, she hauls herself up ropes, she does everything the course throws at her. Another trainee catches up to her with a message. Her boss wants to see her. Her name is Clarice Starling, and she is a cadet in FBI training. She heads to the office, and while she waits, she ends up in front of a wall covered in case material about a serial killer the press calls Buffalo Bill. Her boss, Crawford, arrives with an assignment. He wants her to interview a psychopath locked in a maximum security facility, a man named Dr. Hannibal Lecter. Quick background. Hannibal is a psychiatrist. He is also a cannibal. The interview is part of a program to collect information from imprisoned killers. Information the Bureau hopes might crack cases that have gone nowhere. The plan is simple. Get Hannibal to cooperate. Before Clarice leaves, Crawford warns her to be extremely careful. A man like Hannibal does not just answer questions. He listens, he studies, and he finds ways into people's heads. She has no idea what she's about to walk into. This is The Silence of the Lambs. The next day, Clarice arrives at the facility. Dr. Chilton, the man who runs the place, escorts her and lists rule after rule as they walk. Then he shows her a photograph of a nurse Hannibal attacked. She lost an eye and had her jaw torn loose. All because someone dropped their guard for a moment. Clarice reaches the cell. She introduces herself and holds up her identification. And it takes Hannibal almost no time to notice the credentials are fake. She admits she is still a trainee at the academy. She is honest about it. And that buys her a few minutes of his attention. Then she pulls out a questionnaire, and that disappoints him. She was direct and respectful, and now she is hiding behind a form. Still, the conversation drifts toward the killer everyone is chasing. Hannibal is curious about the nickname. Clarice explains it started as dark humor among police in Kansas City because of what the man does to his victims. He removes patches of skin from their backs. Hannibal asks why she thinks he does it. Clarice gives the trained answer. Most serial killers keep something from their crimes, a trophy, a souvenir. This one keeps skin. To keep things simple, we are just going to call Buffalo Bill by the name Billy from here on. Hannibal points out that he never kept a single souvenir from anyone. Clarice does not miss a beat. She points out that he is different because he ate his victims, which is exactly what a cannibal does. He takes the questionnaire after all. He reads for a while, and then he starts working on her instead. He guesses at where she comes from, her background, the life she climbed out of, cutting closer and closer until she is genuinely rattled. But Clarice turns it around. She asks him why he does not point that same eye at himself. He hands the questionnaire back. Then he tells her about a census taker who once tried to test him, and about what happened to that man's liver, along with some beans and a very good glass of wine. Clarice is shaken, and Hannibal dismisses her. On the way out, another inmate named Miggs throws bodily fluid at her through the bars, and the whole block erupts.
I bit my wrist. Look at the blood! Gotcha!
Hannibal, of all people, is furious about it. He calls her back. He does not tolerate that kind of vulgarity, so he gives her something as an apology. He tells her to look inside herself, using her full name as he says it. And he tells her to find an old patient of his named Moffett. Back at the office, Clarice starts digging into the name. While she works, a call comes in from Crawford. Miggs is dead. He bit through his own tongue, and everyone knows whose voice was whispering to him through the wall. Clarice keeps reporting what she finds, or rather what she does not find, because most of Hannibal's patient records were destroyed. But her instincts keep circling back to that phrase, look inside yourself. She becomes convinced the clue is hidden inside the word yourself. Hannibal is from Baltimore, so she starts working through the local listings. And there it is, a storage facility right in the middle of the city called Yourself Storage. Clarice drives out and finds a unit rented under the name Miss Hester Moffett, paid in full for 10 years. Nobody has ever gone inside. The door mechanism is rusted solid, so she jacks it open and crawls underneath. Inside, she finds junk, antiques, and a collection of unsettling little objects. Then she finds a car, and when she looks inside the car, she finds a jar. Sitting in that jar, preserved, is a human head. Clarice goes straight back to the prison. By now, she has worked out that the storage unit belongs to Hannibal himself, because Hester Moffat is an anagram. Rearranged, it spells out the rest of me. She asks whose head she found. He tells her it was a former patient named Benjamin Raspail. He insists he did not kill the man. He only tidied up afterward and hid what was left. Looking at how the head was made up, Clarice guesses that Benjamin was a crossdresser. Hannibal brushes that aside. He describes Benjamin as a man with a fractured, unstable sense of self, and he talks about him like an experiment, a study in how a killer takes shape. Then Hannibal makes an offer. He will help catch Billy in exchange for a transfer to a federal facility with a view somewhere better than the basement he lives in now. Clarice immediately senses the shape of it. His dead patient is connected to Billy somehow, and he warns her not to take too long because Billy has almost certainly chosen his next woman already. The movie cuts to a young woman driving home at night, singing along to the radio, with no idea she's being watched. As she walks toward her building, she sees a man struggling to load a couch into a van, his arm in a cast. She offers to help. The second her back is turned, he beats her unconscious.
Hey, are you about a size 14?
Sorry?
Great.
Okay.
Hey,
Back to Clarice. She is working the heavy bag at the gym when she is called in and told to pack. She is going into the field with Crawford because a woman's body has just been pulled from a river in West Virginia, and it looks like Billy's work. On the plane, she gets the pattern. 3 bodies so far. Each victim is taken, held for about 3 days, then shot and only skinned afterward. They arrive at a small funeral home, and being in that room brings Clarice's father back to her. Then with Crawford and a room full of local officers watching, she helps examine the body. The skin has been taken from the victim's back in a diamond shape, and as Clarice works, she notices something wrong with the throat. Something is lodged in there. When it comes out, it turns out to be a cocoon.
There's no way that could get way down in there like that.
Unless somebody shoved it in.
feed pod?
No, sir. That's a bug cocoon.
Back in the city, she takes it to a friend at the museum. What emerges is a moth, Acherontia styx, the death's head moth. The strange part is that this species does not live anywhere near here. It comes from Asia, which means somebody has been deliberately raising these things, feeding them, keeping them alive. The next morning, Clarice sees the news at the office. A young woman has gone missing, and when the photograph comes up, we recognize her instantly. She is the woman taken outside her apartment. Her name is Catherine Martin, and she is the daughter of a United States Senator named Ruth Martin. The police and the press both assume Billy took her. Senator Martin goes on television and speaks directly to the man holding her daughter, begging him to find some scrap of humanity and let Catherine go. Clarice goes back to Hannibal with an offer. If he helps them find Billy, the senator will have him transferred to a hospital in Oneida Park, New York, and once a year he will get a week on Plum Island with the run of the beach, under maximum security, of course. But Hannibal wants more than that. He wants Clarice. He wants her to tell him about her life, piece by piece, to satisfy his curiosity about who she really is. He starts with her parents. She tells him her mother died when she was 10, and her father raised her after that. Then she tells him how her father died, shot when he walked in on a robbery at the drugstore where he worked nights. She trades him question for question. When she asks about the abduction, he guesses immediately that the woman taken this time is large. It startles her that he knows. Then she tells him about the cocoon found in the victim's throat. That lands because a cocoon was also found in the mouth of Benjamin Raspail. Hannibal tells her what it means: change, transformation. And he tells her she is already much closer to the answer than she realizes. But before he goes further, he turns back to her past. He wants to know what happened after her father died. She tells him she was sent to live with her mother's cousin on a ranch in Montana, and that she ran away after 2 months. He asks whether she ran because someone hurt her, whether there was abuse. She shuts that down flat and steers him back to Billy. Hannibal explains that given the sexual pathology at work, Billy may believe he wants to become a woman, and he may have pursued surgery for it. Clarice pushes back. Everything in the literature says transsexuals are passive, and there is no link to violent behavior. That is exactly the point. Billy is not a woman trapped in the wrong body. Billy is a man drowning in self-hatred who has convinced himself that becoming a woman is the way out. and there are only 3 major medical centers in the country that perform this kind of surgery. Together, they land on the theory. Billy applied, and Billy was rejected, almost certainly because the psychological evaluation showed something badly wrong. Hannibal suspects he was beaten and abused as a child, that he was never allowed to become anyone at all, and that everything he is now grew out of that emptiness. But Hannibal is clear about one thing. Whatever is driving Billy is far uglier and far more savage than a simple crisis of identity. Neither of them realizes it, but the entire conversation is being recorded. Dr. Chilton has been listening. The scene shifts, and finally we see the man himself. Billy in his own home, standing at the edge of a pit in his basement, ordering the woman trapped down there to rub lotion into her skin. This is where we see exactly what he is. Back at the prison, Chilton confronts Hannibal. He tells him the deal Clarice offered was a fake, that he checked with Senator Martin himself and no such arrangement exists. Then Chilton offers his own deal, a transfer to Brushy Mountain in Tennessee in exchange for Billy, and Hannibal gives him something. The killer's first name is Louis. The last name, he says, he will give only to the senator, in person. Chilton agrees, and Hannibal is flown to Tennessee. He meets Senator Martin face to face and gives her the name, Louis Friend. He also explains how he knew the man, through Benjamin Raspail. The two of them had been lovers, and Benjamin had grown terrified of him because Louis had killed someone and taken the skin. Later, Clarice comes to see Hannibal where he is being held, in a converted room inside an old courthouse, and she has figured something out. The name Louis Friend is worthless. It is another anagram, this one for iron sulfide. Fool's gold. She presses him. She needs something real, something she can actually use before Catherine runs out of time. So he gives her the principle instead of the answer. Keep it simple. Ask what the man gets out of killing. Ask what he is really doing when he does it. And ask what an ordinary man like him does for a living. Clarice does not understand yet, and she wants him to explain. But Hannibal has traded enough. He wants the rest of her story. He wants to know why she ran from that ranch. So she tells him. She woke in the dark, before dawn, to a sound she thought was children screaming. She followed it out to the barn, and inside she found the spring lambs being slaughtered. She tried to save them. She threw the gate open, but the lambs would not move. They just stood there doing nothing. So she grabbed one, the only one she could carry, and she ran into the night with it. But she was a child with nowhere to go, and the local sheriff found her before morning. When she was brought back, the rancher was furious, and she was sent away to a Lutheran orphanage in Bozeman. The lamb she tried to save was killed anyway. That memory has never let go of her. She still wakes in the dark hearing them. Hannibal tells her that if she manages to save Catherine, the screaming might finally stop. She tries one last time for the name, and he actually starts to give it to her. But Chilton comes crashing in and has her dragged out of the building.
We found her.
That's
Sorry, ma'am, I've got orders. Had to put you on a plane.
Name, doctor.
Come on now.
Brave Clarice, you will let me know when those lambs stop screaming.
As she is pulled away, Hannibal calls after her. She has left her case file behind. She runs back for it, and when he passes it through the bars, his finger brushes hers deliberately, unhurried, almost tender. That night, Hannibal orders a second dinner, a steak, and just before the guards come, he takes something out of his mouth and closes his hand around it. They cuff his hands to the bars before bringing the tray in, standard procedure, and neither of them notices what he is holding. It is a piece of a pen, and it is enough to open a handcuff. The moment one of them turns his back, Hannibal cuffs him to the bars instead. He attacks the other, tears into him with his teeth, and empties the man's own pepper spray into his face. Then he goes back to the one still chained, and he beats him to death. Downstairs, the officers on watch hear gunshots and see the elevator moving on its own, stopping at the 3rd floor. They go in ready for anything, and what they find is one of the guards mounted against the bars of the cage, arms spread wide, opened up like a set of wings. They search the room and find the second officer, barely alive. A SWAT team arrives, then paramedics, and the wounded man is rushed out on a stretcher. But back in the elevator, blood starts dripping down from above. Somebody is on the roof of the car. They assume it is Hannibal, and when they get the hatch open, there he is, lying still. They shout a warning. They fire into his leg. Nothing moves. So they finally pull the panel back.
Put your hands on your head.
One warning. We need him alive.
And meanwhile, in the ambulance racing away from the courthouse, the badly wounded officer starts to move. As the paramedic radios ahead, we realize what happened. That is Hannibal on the stretcher, wearing a mask he cut from the face of the man he killed. The escape becomes national news, and it hits Clarice hard. The ambulance is later found abandoned near an airport, with the crew dead inside, along with a tourist who lost his clothes and his cash to a very well-dressed man walking calmly away. Clarice and her friend go back to Hannibal's advice and start working the simple questions. They come to believe that Billy must have known his first victim personally, a young woman named Frederica Bimmel from Belvedere, Ohio. So Clarice drives out there. She finds the Bimmel house and meets Frederica's father, who tells her about the trip his daughter made to Chicago for a job interview and how she never came home. Clarice asks to see Frederica's room, then moves into a sewing room full of clothes and patterns, and there it is. A dress with diamond-shaped panels cut and marked, the exact shape of the skin taken from the victim's back. She calls Crawford immediately. Billy is not just skinning these women. He is making something. He is a tailor, but Crawford already has the name. They have identified him, and the arrest team is already rolling. The man is James Gum, also known as John Grant, and he is believed to be in Calumet City, outside Chicago. The lead came from Customs, from a package seized at an airport in Los Angeles 2 years earlier under Gum's name, full of live pupae and death's head moths. Clarice is told to stay where she is and keep gathering the kind of evidence that will bury him in court. We cut to Catherine, down in the pit, trying to lure Billy's little dog toward her with a chicken bone. Upstairs, Billy is getting ready, painting himself, dressing himself, becoming someone else. He films himself, and he dances. Back with Clarice, she is interviewing one of Frederica's old friends. The names James Gum and John Grant mean nothing to her, but she mentions that Frederica loved to sew, and that the two of them used to do alteration work together for a woman named Mrs. Lippman. That is enough for Clarice. She asks for the address. Meanwhile, in Calumet City, the SWAT team, the local police, and Crawford are all in position. Inside the house, Billy is tending his moths when he hears his dog whining somewhere below. The dog has fallen into the pit. Catherine has her, and she is holding the animal hostage, demanding a telephone, threatening to break the dog's neck. Billy comes apart, screaming, raging, completely out of control. At that exact moment, the SWAT team moves in disguised as a delivery, and they ring the bell. Billy stops. He heads for the front door, and when the door opens, the person standing there is Clarice, because across the country, the tactical team just breached an empty house. Wrong address. Crawford realizes in an instant where Clarice actually is.
There's no one here.
Clear! Clear!
Clarice.
Clarice tells the man at the door that she is looking for Mrs. Lippman and that she has questions about Frederica Bimmel. He introduces himself as Jack Gordon and invites her in, saying he will find a business card for Mrs. Lippman's son. Inside, Clarice keeps watching him, and the longer she stands there, the more wrong it feels. Spools of thread everywhere, and then, fluttering across the room, a death's head moth. She draws her weapon and tells him to freeze, and of course, he runs.
Description, fingerprints, anything like that?
And turn around. Spread your legs. Put your hands over your hands in the back. Thumbs up.
She goes after him, down into the basement, into a maze of rooms and corridors. She hears Catherine screaming and finds the pit, and she tells her to stay calm and stay quiet. Then she moves deeper into the dark, hunting. She steps into one of the back rooms, and the lights go out. Total blackness. She has no idea where she is. Billy is right there with her, watching her through night vision goggles. She is blind and terrified, and he is enjoying it. He circles her and lets his hand hover in the air right beside her face, close enough to touch her. He could shoot her at any moment, but he wants to draw it out. And when he finally cocks the hammer back on his revolver, she hears it. She spins and fires into the dark, emptying her weapon at the sound. He gets a shot off too, but every one of his misses. Several of hers do not, and Billy dies right there on the floor. The police arrive. Catherine is brought up out of the pit alive, still clutching that little dog, and Clarice graduates. She becomes a full agent of the FBI. At the reception afterward, a friend comes to tell her there is a call for her. She picks it up and she goes cold because it is Hannibal. He is calling to congratulate her. He tells her he has no interest in coming after her and asks her to extend him the same courtesy. Then he says he has to go because he is having an old friend for dinner. The camera pulls back, and there in the crowd of a tropical airport is Dr. Chilton, walking obliviously into the last day of his life. So the moral of the story is never help a stranger move a couch. Never trust a psychiatrist who knows your entire childhood in 5 minutes. And if someone says they're having an old friend for dinner, politely become unavailable forever.